Hey, Eagle fans! Your Statesboro Walmart is your one-stop shop for all your Georgia Southern football and game day needs. Pick up your GSU sports gear here. We have t-shirts, hats, tote bags, koozies, stadium bleacher seats, car spirit flags, wall pennants, beads, and more right here at the best prices in town. Also, don't forget we can handle all of your tailgating needs with our great food trays, baked goods, and fresh, high-quality meat, seafood, and chicken.
Walmart. Save money. Live better. Walmart.
On this week's show, Georgia Southern hits the mid-season part of their schedule. With a bye week, we had a chance to talk with Willie Fritz, and he gave out some grades on how the Eagles have done. We also sit down with Georgia Southern Athletic Director Tom Kleinlein to talk about the chances of Georgia Southern going to a bowl game. All that and more as we welcome you inside the Eagles Nest. And welcome inside the Eagles Nest. I'm your host, Josh Aubrey, being joined as always by Matt Yogus, the sports editor and Georgia Southern beat writer for the Statesboro Herald. And Matt, midway point, or maybe just a little bit above the midway point for the Georgia Southern Eagles. Perfect in the league, in first place. Who'd have thunk it when we were talking preseason about maybe 5 wins would be a good season, 6 would be a great year for head coach Willie Fritz, and they come in undefeated in the Sun Belt and probably could be 7-0 on the season.
Yeah, that's the craziest part when you look back at those 2 ACC games, 2 fumbles away from really winning both of those ball games. It's really amazing to think about. And Georgia Southern at 4-0 in the Sun Belt Conference right now, midway through that slate. And it's funny when you talk to the players on the team. Valdon Cooper is the only one I could get to admit that he's a little bit surprised about all the success Georgia Southern's had. Everybody else just kind of matter of fact, like, I'll answer that question after the year because we got a championship to go win is a common answer. So, the team maybe not surprised. Maybe they're just, sandbagging us a little bit. But really impressive start to their FBS tenure.
Well, Matt, with this being the bye week, I thought this would be a great time to kind of get Coach to give his grades. You gave yours last week and got blasted in the middle of the press conference for your C+ for the special teams, which he gave a C. You'll see that in just a moment. But we had a chance to talk with head coach Willie Fritz about his grades for where the Eagles are at this point in the season. Let's begin with the offense. How do you feel like the offense is, and what kind of grade would you give them at this point?
If you look at the whole body of work, there's different parts of the game and games where I would say, hey, the guys, we played really well. There's been some games we ran the ball extremely well, maybe didn't throw it as well as we wanted to. But overall, I've been very pleased with the offense. I think Coach Roos and the offensive staff are doing a phenomenal job. We're doing a really good job of running the football, doing a good job with ball security. We talk about that all the time. And in most of the games, we've done a pretty good job with our play action pass and throwing the ball as well. So I've been very happy with what we've been doing offensively.
Defensively, what would you say right now?
There's been times that I would say we're an A, and there's other times I think we've been a C. There's some areas we need to work on as well. A couple games we didn't tackle as well as we needed to. There's a few games where they ran some hurry-up tempo that we didn't play it as well as we need to. But overall, we're doing a pretty nice job of staying over the top of things, making people have to work for their points. Coach Curtis and the defensive crew, they're also doing a very, very good job.
The area last year that seemed like the defense struggled with was putting the pressure on the quarterback and causing turnovers. It seems like in both areas you guys have really improved.
Yeah, I guess we were already ahead of the sack pace from last season. We're not a real big team defensively. We don't have a whole lot of size, but we're having to manufacture some ways to get pressure. And then also we've got some guys inside that are pretty quick, even though they're not real big, and they're doing a good job of getting pressure on the quarterback. It's very comforting as a defensive coordinator if you can get pressure with a 3-man or a 4-man rush, because now you can do a bunch of stuff on the back end. You don't just have to play man every down and bring a 5th or 6th rusher. So, at times we're rushing the passer pretty good.
Special teams, where do you see them right now, and if you had to give them a grade?
Well, there's been some good things. If you Looked at the North Carolina State game and give us an A, and there's been other games where we've been a D. Kickoff-wise, Youngway Koo has been really hitting the ball well, and we've done a pretty darn good job with coverage with our kickoff team. And our extra point field goal, at times Alex has really kicked well, and he's had some games just a couple weeks ago where he hit 3 field goals that we really needed against New Mexico State, and last week obviously didn't play the type of game he'd like to. So we got to get him back up and playing at high level all the time, and he'll do that. He's a strong-minded kid, and he'll kick well for us. Ryan Nowicki punted well at the beginning of the year. He's kind of tailed off a little bit here lately. I think our punt coverage unit has done a pretty nice job. I've been disappointed with our kickoff return team. We've had a couple good returns, but not nearly as many as we should. And then our punt return unit has been pretty decent. Had some real good open spaces last week that we need to take advantage of. So I would give our grade probably a C in the kicking game.
Final 2014 closeout at Franklin Toyota. All remaining 2014 Toyotas are closeout price.
Get $5,000 off or 0 APR for 72 months on new Camrys.
Find it at Franklin Toyota in Statesboro and franklintoyota.com.
With more than 100 years of experience under one roof, Complete Car Care on 207 Northside Drive can do it all for your car or truck, gas or diesel, even hybrids, motors, tune-ups, front end, air conditioning, transmissions, electrical. Complete Car Care does it all. When others say no, Complete Car Care says yes. Come see what Michael and his team can do for you at Complete Car Care, 207 Northside Drive.
Well, Matt, the Georgia Southern Eagles right now at the midway point have 5 wins already on the season. You have to have 6 to be bowl eligible. We did not think Georgia Southern would have any chance of making it to a bowl game this year, but upon further review, it looks like there's a process going on right now that might be able to get the Eagles into the postseason.
Yeah, we talked about being bowl eligible, the Sun Belt Championship being the only carrot at the end of the string. And really this bowl thing is not in Georgia Southern's hands at all. They can do is go out and win ball games. But, if things work out their way, the right teams lose the right ball games, we could be talking about a bowl game.
Well, to clear things up, we went ahead and went right to Athletic Director Tom Kleinlein to get his take on how things are going and what we can expect if there's any chance for the postseason for the Eagles.
Obviously, there's always a possibility in terms of the NCAA rules. Now, the possibility is a very slim one, but there is a possibility. And what that is basically, they would go through the entire country and determine if there was enough teams eligible to participate in bowl games. If there was not enough teams eligible to participate in bowl games, at that point they start working through their list of eligible teams that may have played 2 FCS teams. If there's not enough teams after that, then they go to FBS in transition teams. So there's a pecking order there before they get to us, but there is a possibility. The reality of that possibility is probably a tough one, but I do think there's always a chance. I think that's why we've emphasized for our kids so much winning the championship the first year, winning the conference championship, because that's something that they cannot take away from you. That's something that you are eligible to win, and that's why we've been emphasizing that. They make the rules for transition very stringent, so that if you're going to make this move, you better be pretty certain that you're going to do it. With us not being able to play for anything last year in terms of postseason and FCS, and this year we're not eligible for a bowl game, you got to be really understanding that this is what you want to do as an institution, because it is kind of punitive.
Does it make a difference if they win 6 games, if they win 9 games, if they win however?
No, it really doesn't make a difference. At the end of the day, it comes down to how many teams are eligible to compete in bowl games based upon the initial criteria, and then after that, if there's not enough teams, like I said, then they go to teams that have won 7 games or more and played 2 FCS games. Then they go to teams that have won 7 games that have played a 13-game schedule, and then they go to teams that are in transition.
This week, Matt, before we go, there are plenty of other sports going on. Cross country at Georgia Southern doing quite well right now. Volleyball has been struggling, but hey, they have had some injuries, and they finally get a chance to come into Hanner Fieldhouse, which is finished being renovated now. They have games Friday night and then Sunday at noon, both Sunbelt games as well. And then we also have the soccer teams. The guys right now are 5-5 on the season, and the women 9-3-1. And you've recently done a story on how the soccer for the women have been doing so far.
Yeah, gsueaglenation.com. You read all about it there. But basically, all you can say is Brian Dunleavy had a decent first year in the SoCon. He took over the program last year, and he's brought this team into the Sun Belt. They've been really impressive. They lost to Georgia State, got handed their first loss earlier in the week, but 4-1 overall in the Sun Belt. They're around 80 in RPI right now, which tells me they're a couple wins away from being in that tournament conversation, regardless of what happens in the Sun Belt tournament. But very impressive, a high-scoring team and a good defending team, just good all around. Very big surprise to me. You know, the volleyball team being a surprise that they're down this year. They're snake-bitten with the injuries, like you mentioned, but the soccer team, what more can you say? Just hugely impressive in their first year in the Sun Belt.
Well, get out there and support the soccer team. They play, I believe, Friday. Is that right?
They play on the road Friday against South Alabama. South Alabama 5-0 right now. They're in first place ahead of the Eagles, so it's a game for first place in the conference.
All right. Well, that'll wrap things up for this week's Eagles Nest. For Matt Yogas, I'm Josh Aubrey. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again next week.